Hello, I'm Lesley Atherton, and this little piece of writing is called Purple. Just a minute, Mike, I want to show you something. Jimbo stuck his fork straight into the clean, friable, peaty loam of his allotment's carrot patch, and between the prongs he brought up a healthy-looking bunch of carrots. They were stocky, long, strong, and undoubtedly bright purple. Jimbo grabbed one from the bunch and wiped the worst of the earth from it. "Look at this," he said, and broke the carrot in half. It was purple all the way through. "They aren't common, Jimbo, but I've grown them too, purple carrots." "I know what you're saying, Mike, but it's not as simple as that." Jimbo had butted in, as was his usual habit. "Yeah, but purple carrots aren't quite as much of a novelty as you might think," Mike continued, resting his bent, welly-clad leg on his spade. "All the carrots used to be purple at first, then they got cultivated and mutated and were white and yellow and orange. But they're meant to be purple, this variety. I think they call them Purple Emperor or something. They look very like the ones I've seen on the seed packet." "You're not getting me, Mike." "The carrots are purple, but I wasn't expecting it." "What, so you didn't grow the purple variety?" "Give your mouth a rest and let your brain catch up," said Jimbo. "I'm saying that I didn't. They just grew themselves purple." Mike was uncharacteristically quiet. His grubby thumbnail scratched his chin through the bristles of his wiry grey beard. "I'm supposing they sometimes go back to the purple. Throwbacks." "I could understand that if..." "If what?" "If it were just one or two." "If it were just one or two, but all of them are purple, Mike. All of them." "Well then, it's simple. The seed merchant must have mislabelled the packet. Simple as that. You did well, got an expensive carrot for a lot less. Look at them. Good enough to eat right now if my dentures didn't demand 10 minutes of boiling." Jimbo looked frustrated. His head was itching under his filthy and ragged tweed cap. His braces were falling off his right shoulder. His right welly had a hole in it. He'd have to deal with that properly come winter. There were some repairs that duct tape and 3 coats of yacht varnish just wouldn't quite manage. "Just come and look," Jimbo suggested. Mike tried to show an interest, but it was half-hearted at best. He wanted to go back to his onion bed, which needed a lot of tidying. There was hairy bittercress everywhere, and the slugs were coming back too. Jimbo grabbed hold of Mike's coat and led him to the next vegetable bed, his onions. He pulled up a strong and healthy plant of a decidedly purple colour. Mike shrugged. "I grow red and purple onions every year," he said. "They taste better, more antioxidants, I've been told." Jimbo grimaced. Across from the onion patch was a line of leeks. They'd been earthed up to keep them nice and white, and Jimbo pulled a leek at random. The top leaves, the emerald green shoots, turned into pink and then purple. "Never grown purple leeks before, but they look pretty on the front of the packets," Mike said. "What about purple spinach?" asked Jimbo. "Purple lettuce, purple peas, purple runner beans, purple apples, purple plums." Mike scratched his beard again. To him, most were oddities, but nothing extraordinary. "But what I'm saying is that everything that was green is now purple, everything on my patch. There isn't a single plant amongst them that hasn't turned purple, even the potatoes." Mike smiled a smile of happy nostalgia. "Hey, do you remember the purple spuds I grew a couple of years back? They made cracking chips. Mind you, I couldn't get Stella used to frying them. The colour put her off. She couldn't tell when they were actually cooked. The black ones were even worse." "I don't think you're taking this seriously," said Jimbo, shaking his head petulantly. "I planted green and I got purple. They can't all be throwbacks to the natural form." There were a few moments of unaccustomed silence, both men thinking and looking around the site for inspiration. "How are the beetroots looking?" asked Mike. "Hey, that's the point," said Jimbo. "I didn't check the beetroot patch yet." The 2 retirees laid down their tools and ambled with a little more urgency than they were accustomed to the beetroot patch. Beetroots were Jimbo's favourite, so much so that he'd created a U-shaped frame of beetroots around the rest of his vegetable patch. He'd also added sand to this patch of soil, as he said it made the beetroot skin smoother. "Go on then, pull one out," encouraged Jimbo, as they stood in front of the rows of fine-looking fleshy leaves. Mike crouched and tugged. "Well, I'll be damned," he said, as the root vegetable erupted bulbously into view. "White," said Jimbo. "Well, more of a pale grey, like an undercooked pasty." "White," said Mike. "Well, I'll be damned. Do you think we might be talking leakage here?" It wasn't impossible, of course, but it was extremely unlikely. In their combined 132 years of life on the planet, this wasn't something that had been experienced by either of them before. Leakage? Could be. But what neither man had taken into consideration was the recent inclement weather and the storms that had hit this side of the village especially. Purple rain. Could that have been the explanation? Was it beetroot leakage? Or was purple sabotage at play? Perhaps dumping of excess dyestuffs, purple and white, onto the local allotments to save money. All Jimbo could think about was whether his purple crops were edible. He had no desire to come out of this experience looking like Violet Beauregard from the Willy Wonka stories, silly young girl who turned into a blueberry. It took him another 5 minutes, but Jimbo's genius came to the rescue again, in the form of a brainwave of an idea. He brushed down his poshest trug and selected a handful of each affected fruit and vegetable from the patch, displaying them tenderly as if each was a favoured competitor for a local produce show. They would do. His next step, the back door of the new gastropub. He didn't much like the people who went in there. They were snobby and they had no respect for the real things of life, only for the new, the fast and the expensive. In other words, they would gobble up his purple produce like the perfect set of guinea pigs they were. He might even make some cash out of this purple disaster.